Overall, Mr Speaker, New Zealand First is very happy with the bill, very happy with the process, and we will be happy to continue to support it.
I call Todd Muller.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Very pleased to be able to stand and speak in favour of the second reading of the Intelligence and Security Bill. Can I also please begin by acknowledging the efforts of Minister Chris Finlayson. I think he's worked extremely hard alongside the committee to land legislation that balances the protection of New Zealand's security interests on the one hand, and in my view the enhancement of the integrity of the agency's reputations themselves on the other, because over time significant trust will build in those agencies because of the effective oversight provisions that have been built into this legislation. It's a very good outcome. Can I also acknowledge my predecessor, the Honourable Mark Mitchell, for his very adept chairmanship and facilitating a very collaborative and insightful process, which I think we have landed a very good result. And in particular, Mr Speaker, I'd like to focus on the issues around the definition of national security. The initial bill had a particular definition that caused us as a committee some challenge. It was very unclear in terms of its scope. There were a whole lot of inherent complexities with the approach of the initial bill, serious concerns around its workability, and after a significant discussion amongst us and with the particular support of the officials who have done a tremendous job here, we have landed in this legislation a two-pronged approach to national security. So now, in order to get a warrant to target a New Zealander, the proposed activity firstly must be necessary to contribute to the protection of national security, and critically must also be able to identify, enable assessment of the protection against a closed list of harms. And we've already heard this afternoon in this conversation the list of those harms and the precise specificity, if you like, about those. That certainly, from our perspective, Mr Speaker, gives us a lot of confidence. Look, there's a lot about this that I'd like to talk to, but I'm very conscious of the fact that a lot has already been covered. Can I just echo the confidence that I have that we have landed something that is very fit for purpose and should give New Zealanders much comfort. Thank you.
The next call is a split call. Barry.